Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for monitoring and delivery over IP with TAG Video Systems and Zixi. My name is John Westcott, and I run the partnership and marketing groups at Zixi. Today, I am joined by our CEO, Gordon Brooks, Senior Solutions Engineer for Partnerships, Natram Dionarain, and our special guest from TAG, VP of Global Technical Operations, Elon Torbati, and Chief Architect, Paul Briscoe. Today's agenda will be to give an overview of Zixi, an introduction to TAG Video Systems and their products. They'll show how Zixi has been integrated with the live demonstration. And then at the end, we'll take questions. So please put them into the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer as many as we can at the end. For any questions that we don't have time to get to, we have your email associated with your name, and the appropriate person from TAG or Zixi or us together will respond to you. So with those logistics out of the way, we will have Gordon kick it off with Zixi. Gordon?
Thanks, John. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. There's been an accelerated shift away from traditional inflexible hardware-based infrastructures towards more flexible software-defined solutions. There's a lot of factors that are driving this: the rise of consumer cord cutting, faster time to market required, the proof that 5 nines and 6 nines is easily achievable with IP with the right solution, the rapid move to cloud virtualization, and the need for more cost-effective, flexible broadcast infrastructure, the unrelenting pressure to cut costs and avoid the cost of inflexible dedicated video links, Ethernet and satellite, 5G and its impact. And, not to mention COVID having an impact on everything we're doing. And all this while we're trying to maintain broadcast quality of service and quality of experience. So today we're going to talk about a joint solution for monitoring and reliable transport over IP. TAG and Zixi have been working side by side in a lot of NOCs and in a lot of customers for quite a long time, but we now are finally have an end-to-end integration to the TAG MCM 9000, which will provide a complete multi-channel on-prem and remote monitoring solution for all live video transmission layers. That combined with the Zixi software-defined video platform for low latency, reliable transport, delivery, and congestion-aware network adaptive protocol, overcoming connectivity challenges in remote production, which provides, atomic levels of telemetry that can now be used to take into the TAG solutions and also output of the TAG solutions. So this joint solution allows us to use the unmanaged networks to transport professional, reliable video signals at a super low latency at broadcast quality. So to also proactively monitor and receive alerts on streams across transmissions, and to identify impairments and address transport issues. So we're really excited about it, and I think you'll get a chance to see it, and it's pretty exciting what we're doing together. So I want to tell you a little bit about Zixi for those of you who might not understand who we are. So we're a software company, and we have a software-defined video platform. So we're employed by traditional broadcasters, OTT broadcast services, and service providers. And we're used to source, manage, and distribute live events and 24/7 live linear channels. And we do that over any type of IP network, whether that be managed, unmanaged IP, whether that be IP on satellite, whether that be 4G, and now a lot of work we're doing in 5G. We do that with any protocol. We support 17 protocols in all. We're known for the Zixi protocol, which is by far the most popular and best in the market, but you don't always control the protocol in and protocol out. So we'll support every available popular protocol on the market. We're integrated into all the major cloud providers, and we are integrated in many, many edge devices. And the ones we aren't integrated into typically will support a protocol that works with the Zixi software-defined video platform. So this is just a quick snapshot of Zixi. So we have over 100,000 instances of Zixi globally, deployed in well over 100 countries. We have over 700 media customers, and we have 200 integrated technology partners. Those integrated technology partners are encoders, decoders, IRDs, their software solutions for video editing, their service providers, their solutions such as TAG. And so we're providing an unmatched global network that not only lets you take your content and move it point to point or point to multi-point, but really allows you to do it anywhere to anywhere. So what is a software-defined video platform? Well, there's 4 components of a software-defined video platform. One is protocols and transport. Very, very important, but think of it as the tires on the truck that you need to transport your content. We have the Zixi protocol, but we also support 16 other integrated protocols. So really any tires you want on this truck, you can get. We have the video solution stack, which is really the platform. This is the intelligence for adaptive configurations and workflows. This works across all the different protocols and allows you to do hitless failover, allows you to do bonding across multiple IP networks or even across multiple protocols, has transcoding integrated into it, auto slating, recording, transmuxing, really anything you might need to do in a video workflow. On top of that, we have the Zen enabled network, or the Zixi enabled network, which we call Zen, Z-E-N. And that's our ecosystem. And that's what we were just talking about, the interoperability and agility with 200 plus partners, all integrated. I think we're up to probably 240 now, and we're adding about 30 new integrated partners a month. And then on top of that, we have our control plane, which is our way to abstract the complexity to operate at scale. So we do some monitoring as well, but we're really around the deployment and fixing of solutions. So our control plane abstracts all the complexity away from these complex, highly hybrid IP networks and allows you to actually go in and do the root cause analysis and actually fix the issues. So how do you know if it's a software-defined video platform? Well, one is it needs to be really software-defined. And that means it's not a hardware platform that's been containerized, but doesn't give you the flexibility that you need. It's by nature virtual. The connectivity is easy, and I think you'll hear some stories later on from our TAG colleagues about how easy it is to deploy and integrate. Quickly deployable, and not only end-to-end, but really it's really end-to-end versus point-to-point. It's got to be scalable, so have a unified control plane, abstracted technical complexity, democratize the operations, be geo and physically agile, and have an adaptive architecture because things are changing all the time. It's got to be data-driven, so you need atomic levels of telemetry. So we're providing telemetry at the edge, at the hardware level. We're providing telemetry at the network level. We're providing telemetry at the transport level, TR-101, priority 1 and priority 2. We're providing telemetry at the cloud level, and a lot of that being fed right into the TAG system. So we're doing event correlation, data visualization, predictive analytics, and helping our customers pinpoint root cause issues. Quality of experience, it needs to really be super reliable, as reliable or more reliable than satellite or fiber or other alternatives, and it is. It needs to have signal path diversity, inline transcoding, integration across the media supply chain. So not only at the edge and not only in the cloud or in your data center, but across the software platforms that you use in your media supply chain. And no software resolution limit, because our requirements for resolution are going up and up. We at Zixi are now testing 8K over 5G in the Verizon labs. So we're really pushing the limits, and you really need to make sure the software doesn't provide a limitation. And number 5, it really needs to be future-proof. And what I mean by that is, the world's changing. The world's changing rapidly. Protocols are changing. What IP is being used for which workflows, all changing. So you need universal interoperability. You need to support any protocol, any network, any cloud, any edge device. And it also needs to be committed to standards. So as standards emerge, then they need to be incorporated and built into whatever software-defined video platform you decide to use. These are just a few of our customers, our 700 customers, but our customers, range from the NBCs, Bloombergs, and Warner Medias to the Prime Videos and, the T-Mobiles and the Telstras and, across the board in terms of size and scope and where they work in the video content workflow. These are just a few of our partners. You'll see TAG there on the far right middle. Again, one of 200 partners, but a very, very special partner. And it's just important that, that Zixi supports and is integrated into whatever tools and whatever partners that you decide to incorporate into your business. This is just a different way to look at how the interoperability works. So, on the top you have Zen Master for onboarding, orchestration, analytics, monitoring, reporting, and operations. But really, it's an orchestration platform. And then you have, contribution coming in from the edge. So these are just a few of the integrated partners on the edge, but you also have playout interoperability. And then you also have service providers that are providing managed services that are providing contribution. And we're running across unmanaged networks and clouds, and we're running across managed networks. And we're integrated into Verizon and iStream Planet and Encompass and CenturyLink and Telstra and Globecast and many of the managed networks. And then distributing that out to the CDN, to the consumer, or to directly to smart devices like Samsung TVs or Fire Sticks, Roku devices, and then also to OTT providers, and then endpoint devices, and then all supported by software integrations that support your live video workflow.
All right, thank you, Gordon. We appreciate that. With that, we will take it to the TAG team to give an overview and give us a live demonstration.
Thanks, John. Hi, it's Paul from TAG here. And just thanks, Gordon, for the great overview of Zixi. I'm a little annoyed, however, because it's like you read our mission statement. You talked about any network, any protocol, any cloud, any edge. That's us too. And then you talk about software defined and scalable, data driven, quality of experience, future proof. Well, same story there. So with that wonderful opening you've given us, let me tell you a little bit about TAG. We like to think of ourselves as the world leader in 100% software-based integrated IP multi-viewing, probing, and monitoring solutions. We've been doing this since 2008. Started as a very small group of extremely brilliant people and has been growing ever since. This slide is old. We're monitoring somewhere well over 50,000 channels with the world's largest both broadcasters and non-broadcaster media distributors, which of course is the way of the world nowadays. And we think we have the greatest flexibility in asset utilization in monitoring and visualization. This is a pure software product. We do not sell hardware, and it can run on COTS hardware in your own data center. It can run in VMs if necessary, and of course it can run in the cloud. And we do real-time deep probing of video, audio, metadata, and the associated transports, so we can monitor the stream up and down. I'll show you in a second some of that. And we do address all of the 4 primary markets we have in front of us today. Live production, of course, in uncompressed, supporting 2110 and 2022.6, and then play out master control, distribution, and OTT with the appropriate transports, protocols, encryption, and so on. And we have the greatest selection of input and output formats and standards for both uncompressed and compressed workflows. On the next slide, here's just some of the key features of our solution. I mentioned it's 100% IP, 100% software, 100% COTS. This was a philosophical decision made 12 years ago by the founders, and they were way out on a limb back then, and they made the right call. So we offer the lowest latency, less than 2 frames latency in both compressed and uncompressed UHD 4K. We have very, very high density monitoring of a large number of parameters, well over 330 probing tests we do at various levels in the system. And the tests are possible at any point in the system. We have very dense probing and we go very deep. We don't actually ship a hard drive. If you have a hard metal server to run this on, you don't run an OS, you don't have a hard drive, we basically ship you a small dongle, and within that dongle lies the code. We boot directly from it. There's no underlying OS per se. We have an embedded Linux kernel running everything, which we can also ship on VMware, in which case we ship an image, as we also do for cloud. So we can ship this product in any manner that's suitable to you, except a CD that you load into a Windows computer. We combine both our TS and our AVR monitoring into a single solution, so we can now look from end to end across your entire system, all the way from your distribution, your first point of distribution, all the way out to the edge and your multiple renditions. We integrate deeply with NMS, EMS, and BCS vendors. This is very important, especially in uncompressed, where we need to manage the networks. And it also enables very strong and very long path-based correlation. We add the lean forward visualization part of this, of course, and the rich control that we offer. This control comes by virtue of our API. We have a fully open RESTful JSON API. Everything in the product is controlled through this API. Our product's GUI, which is self-served from the product. It's a web interface. It lives on this API, as does interface to external control systems, be they switching control, layout control, room control, and so on. So we can provide to any partner this open garden interface, and we have many, many users of this interface at this time, and the interface continues to evolve along with the product. Here's just a quick summary of the kind of monitoring we do. From the bottom, we look at the transport, we look at timings, not just PCR and uncompressed, we're looking at those timings against PTP as well, for example. We look at things like packet loss, IAT issues like that, missing files, bad delivery times in ABR, and so on. So anything right down to the wire level we're looking at. Within the metadata, we're looking at all of that relevant stuff, including SCT and DII triggers. We report and log all SCUDdy events, and we can also trigger on invalids or missed events and so on. Above that, we look at the content. So we look at video and audio for actual essence errors, things like freeze black, audio loudness, presence of subtitling, validity of subtitling, and all of this kind of stuff. And then we actually can also do template matching, where we have a template for a given channel, and then we continuously can compare what's happening in the channel to the template for the channel and alarm on that. Our alarms can be delivered externally through the API. They can be thrown up on the visualization. We have monitoring modes where we can monitor without visualization, and when something has a problem, we can then throw it into a visualization we call the penalty box for very quick use. When it comes to Zixi integration, we have one additional benefit that we may talk about a little later, or we may not, so I'll throw it in right now. Because we've integrated Zixi into our product, we have the ability to look at the stream with all of our stream monitoring tools in front of the Zixi decoder. So what this means then is Zixi can fix the video and fix the audio and tell us what they've fixed. We can still report on the stream that's coming in to tell you what went wrong, so you have a full view on both sides of the Zixi decode. So that kind of integration and the level of integration we've done with Zixi, we feel is extremely powerful, and it brings a great deal to the TAG product.
Thank you, Paul. I'll do a small demonstration of the system itself. This is the UI of the system, and what you finally get from TAG is basically this. It's the mosaic and the events related to each stream, the probing, the monitoring, and the mosaic in one output.
Ilan,
Yes.
could you have found could you have found more errored channels to display?
I'm just demonstrating one of our close to 400 events that we can monitor.
I did mention on-screen alarms.
Yeah. Okay, how do we start? We'll usually start with a network if you have on-prem deployment. This is a cloud instance running our system, our software. So the network is controlled by the AWS layer. I'm not going to engage in that. I'll go to the thresholds, which is basically the events. We got close to 400 events that we can monitor and probe, starting from the simplest thing like no input streams, program-related events, video-related events like black frame detection and freeze frame and no video, of course, all the audio events that you can think about, through closed caption events, and even SCSI messages interception and detection. You can set your own threshold sets and attach it to different threshold sets can be attached to different sources. Let's go to the sources. In the sources, we have a scanning mechanism that allows you to scan for sources. You just pick the source type. As you can see, we have a wide range of formats that we support. You just pick the format that you want to scan for, apply the IP range, start the scanning mechanism, and you will find the sources and you'll have it ready here. Next step will be to start monitoring these sources. You can choose through we have a new feature, by the way, that we allow for extra light monitoring, and full monitoring for those guys who want to save resources. And for less important channels, you can choose the extra light monitoring and you can save resources on the instance or the physical server, sorry. Once we have the sources and we started probing them, and of course, we chose the level of the monitoring, the extra light, or the full monitoring. By the way, this instance is in North Virginia on AWS, and as you can see, we have multicast streams here, and it works pretty fine. We have all the sources ready. We'll go to the output. In the output, we'll start with the layout editor. We can build our own template. Let's call it Zixi. Choose the resolution. We have a variety of resolutions starting from SD to 4K resolutions for the output. The output is basically an encoder. I'll show you that later. Now we have a blank canvas. We can choose tiles from our tile section here. I'll take just, not this one, I'll take a few basic tiles and put them here. Of course, you can resize them, move them any way you want. And maybe I'll throw in another clock here just for the fun. And let's take another one. This, and maybe even another one. The basic one, yeah. There you go. Save it. Now I have a template ready that I can use in multiple layouts. I'll go back to the layouts. I'll issue a new layout. And I'll pick the template that I just did. And now I have a layout ready, but no sources in it. I'm going to add a few sources to it. Say this one, and this one. Save configuration. Now I have the layout ready. Now I need to configure the encoder itself, the output itself. I'll go to the output configuration, just add a new encoder. As you can see, we have the basic encoder features, GOP size, frame rate, resolution, bitrate, things that you can manipulate. We have all kinds of ways of pushing the stream out. We have an HLS default output that comes with any output, any encoder. You can configure a TS output, a main compressed, a secondary uncompressed for redundancy. You can push the HLS output to an FTP server and then allow users to watch the output. And of course, last but not least, the Zixi that we can push to the output. I have one already configured. This is the one that you just saw before, which runs the layout that was pre-configured here. I'm going to attach a different layout, the one that we did right now, to it. Submit. And it's an HLS output. By the way, the HLS output is available from the UI itself. And as you can see, this is our output. These are the streams, the clock that I added. This is basically a really simple way to, and fast way, zero friction way to configure our system instantly. We'll get back to the Zixi configuration later. Paul, back to you.
Right.
Paul?
So the challenge for people, and maybe we should have done this a little sooner, but why on earth would you even want Zixi? Because it's obvious to all of us. So I'll tell you the story. Here's the story. These red links on this slide represent the unknown. The problem of the unknown is it's outside of your control. So everything on the left-hand blue box, the studio feeds, the live event feeds, and the encoder and all of that infrastructure you own. You have full control till that signal leaves your door. When it gets to tag, from that point forward, we have the signal in hand. And we're the right people to have it in hand because it's going across the public internet. It's getting up into the cloud through some very unreliable means. And the reason we should have a handle on it is we can start to tell you what's wrong with it. But that's not what you want to do in your business. You don't want to know what's wrong with it. You want to build a system that doesn't have things wrong with it inherently. The same problem on the output side. We can deliver out of our system very confidently a stream to the network. And across the internet, once again, there's no guarantee it's going to arrive in any kind of reasonable condition. And in both cases, these are also unprotected. Now, there may be DRM on the playout side, or there may not, but certainly on the ingest side, your content's at risk from alteration, from theft, from damage. So on the next slide, here's the things we have to address. Error correction, because errors happen, things get lost, packets get lost, we have to deal with that. Security, because we have to protect your content. We have to get across long haul distribution, which means long internet paths, and long paths are worse than short paths, of course. And of course, we want to maintain minimum latency through the system as much as possible. There are techniques we can use today to get across a system with high latency and do this job. But Zixi brings a whole different story to the table. On the next slide, here's how Zixi and TAG fit together. On the next slide, there we go. So in a normal situation, this is the way the system would work, is you would encode Zixi in your premise, and you'd push the Zixi stream to the internet. On the receiving end, you would use a Zixi decoder to deliver an MPEG-TS to TAG. So this works fine, but it has some deficiencies. You now have an outboard piece to TAG. It may be a modular hardware product for all we know. It may be another IP product, but it's a separate thing, so you have another piece to manage. The connection between Zixi and TAG is, of course, unprotected by Zixi. It's within your cloud, so it's probably okay. But it's still a very poor integration, and we have to do some connectivity both on the input and output side to a Zixi element that's separate from TAG. So there are some limitations to this kind of an architecture, not just the cost, not just the complexity, but just overall unpleasantness of design. Architecturally, it's nice to integrate things well. So on the next slide, this is what TAG has done. Working with Zixi, we've integrated it completely into TAG. So all you need to do at your facility is emit a Zixi stream. The upper green diagonal line I'm pointing at here could be if you have an encoder that is a Zixi native output encoder, or you have an element in your system on this line which delivers Zixi to the network. But in both cases, you emit Zixi into the network and it's protected. And when it arrives at TAG, we ingest it natively. The advantage we have here too is we can see upstream of Zixi, so we can see what's going wrong on the network before Zixi gets it. They can fix it. So we have nice clean content to deal with, but we're still being able to report forensics on the network to help you do predictive fault analysis. At the output side, the same story. Zixi is directly integrated, so it's just an output format on the TAG device along with all of our other output formats, and you emit a Zixi stream. And from there, once again, you're in the Zixi technology ecosystem, and your content is fully protected going downstream. So that's what TAG has done. It's a fully integrated software solution into our full software solution, and we still remain cloud resident or hardware deployable. And not to make it sound so simple, but it really is just another input and output format for the TAG system, but it's an extremely valuable addition to the system.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I'll just make a quick demo of how Zixi is implemented on the 9000. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the layout that we just did, the output, and I'm going to push it to a Zixi server. As you can see, by the way, for you guys who have a Zixi player on your mobile or a plugin, you can catch this stream, the output, directly to your player. Dana is going to paste it in the chat. Once I've done that, as you can see, I can see the output here in the Zixi server, even in the matrix. This is the output coming into the Zixi server. What I'm going to do for the demo, I'm going to make a loop back and take that output as a source from Zixi into the machine, which I already did. There you go. I pulled the stream out of Zixi, the output that I already pushed from the system as a source into the system. Let's attach it to a tile in the output. Let's say this tile. And as you can see here, there you go. We have a loop back of the output as a source coming in from Zixi. That's for our demo. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, TAG team. Before we move into the key takeaways, remind you of a couple of things. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A tab at the bottom, and our panelists will respond to as many as we can here before we run out of time. And we have also launched a poll, which you will see on your screen, in which you can demonstrate how you would like Zixi, TAG, or Zixi and TAG to come back to you as a follow-up after the webinar. So before we move into questions, let's wrap up with a few points. What are the key takeaways? With this integration, you can quickly gain workflow flexibility with software-based solutions and simplified system design, which means that deployment and monitoring of live video can be done in minutes versus what used to take weeks or longer. You can maintain a superior quality of service and experience at scale with a visual mosaic of monitored streams in all broadcast formats that gives broadcasters user-friendly, reliable tools for error detection and alerting. And together, we provide cost-effective delivery and monitoring over any IP with no additional hardware required, reduced cloud footprint, and faster system setup and configuration. So it looks like we've got a fair amount of questions that we can take. The first is to the TAG team. Can your monitoring system record stream based on trigger condition like CC error or sync loss gain error?
Paul, I'll take that if you don't mind. Yes, we can. If you have an FTP connected to the system, as Paul said, we don't use any hard drives in our software. just connect it to an FTP server, and you can send, you can trigger any event you want to be recorded. We'll give you 10 seconds or as much as you want before the event happens and after the event, so you have the stream recorded.
All right, very good. Not sure what this question is, so I'll take my best guess for the Zixi and TAG teams. Tell us about Zixi's ability to bond multiple circuits with SMPTE 2022.7 on ingest and egress to end devices. I'm not sure if that's, they just want to know more, or if they not want to know how that would be used in the TAG systems.
Maybe I could pick that one up, since the network level interfaces are TAG's in TAG's hands. We support 2022.7 in the system. 2022.7 is not really bonding. What it is it's a packet. It's two streams and packet fill. So if you have a missing packet on one stream, it'll be taken from the other stream. So yeah, that is fully supported in the TAG implementation of Zixi.
Very good. Next question. Can this solution monitor all 17 protocols that Zixi provides? Natron, maybe you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. Basically, our broadcaster is able to manage 17 protocols. And as it's inputting those protocols, you can actually send any of them to the TAG system as a Zixi stream, and you'd be able to monitor any of the 17 protocols.
Very good. Back to the TAG team, a two-part question. First, is this offering generally available now? And does the MCM 9000 show the same alerts for Zixi streams as it does for baseband formats?
I can take that. Yes, and yes.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. Maybe up to both sides again. How can we leverage this solution during current events for remote monitoring? Hey, Tom, you want to take a pass at that?
Sure. So for remote monitoring the TAG system, you can create the matrix. And with Zixi and ZenMaster, you can re-ingest that, as Ilan demonstrated, you can re-ingest that matrix as a Zixi feed. And recently, during the last couple of months, Zixi released the ability to monitor feeds with WebRTC. So essentially, you can send that Zixi feed to anyone with a web browser via WebRTC, and they'd see a very fluid motion matrix as if it's real live video.
Perfect. As a next question that I will answer, does TAG provide the Zixi licensing, or do you need to source separately? Currently, Zixi sells the Zixi licensing, and TAG provides their software, but we're looking down the road at possible commercial tie-ups as well. But if you want to get the Zixi license, then please talk to us, and if you want to get TAG, please reach out to the TAG guys for the time being. Next question, does the monitoring system do TR 101 analysis?
Yep, we do TR 101, 290 all the way.
And does adding a channel to the multi-viewer result in increased Zixi traffic? Natron?
Yes, today it certainly does. Basically, you're sending a Zixi stream to a multi-viewer.
How does VLC integrate with your system? What is the advantage of using VLC?
Zixi uses VLC to be able to play back the MPEG transport stream or the Zixi protocol. Essentially, you need a plugin for VLC, and you'd be able to watch any of the Zixi streams.
Yeah, and many customers use VLC to monitor the HLS streams we produce already. And so they'll, with the Zixi plugin to VLC, they can now protect those links and use them much more reliably.
All right, thank you, Natron. Paul, next question. Can you take a monitoring source directly from the Zixi broadcaster without having a Zixi integrated decoder or receiver?
I'll take that one. Yeah, that's basically the integration that TAG has done. They've integrated our receiver application. So you essentially can go directly into the TAG system with a Zixi stream. And they've also integrated the feeder. So that matrix you create, you can actually send to a different NOC or someone that is capable of receiving a Zixi stream. You can send that full matrix to another monitoring operations center.
Okay. Next, is it possible to record a remote participant's video as a source using their smartphone to a centralized location? Tag, Paul, can you?
We are not recording
not
the
us.
application. I don't know. I think it's kind of related to us, but if they're asking if we can record stuff, we only use the recording feature for events. We do not do 24/7 recording. So if it was meant to tag, this is the answer.
All right.
Can I just add, this is Gordon, you can contribute live from a phone via Zixi, because we have a phone app called On Air that allows you to act as a Zixi feeder.
So a funny side note, Gordon, I had proposed to come to this webinar contributing through the Zixi broadcaster on my phone or Zixi On Air on my phone, and we decided that we probably should not stack up variables in doing a webinar. But it's probably more trustable than Zoom.
Yeah, true.
We've got time for one or two more questions. Can Zixi pull one of our public streams and restream to end users, for example, a set-top box?
Yes, Zixi can certainly pull a stream and then send it out to set-top boxes. And we have a number of set-top box integrations. So you can send directly into a set-top box.
All right, and the last question here, as we're coming up against our time, can you support monitoring MPTS with low bit rate for 50 channels?
I'll let Ilan answer, but heck yeah.
Yeah, on a small instance even. We have a point system in which we calculate how many points will a stream consume. And in that way, before you do your project, we'll know which server, physical server to recommend or which instance to recommend you. But 50 MPTS channels is easy.
All right. Thank you, Ilan. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Natram. Thank you, Gordon. We appreciate everybody's time today. Hope you have filled out the poll how you would like us to follow up with you. We'll leave that open for a little bit longer. To follow up directly with our sales teams, please go to sales@zixi.com in an email or sales@tagvs.com. or visit our websites, zixi.com and tagvs.com. We will be providing this recorded webinar to all of our attendees and giving an opportunity to follow up depending on how you want to be contacted via the poll. So once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panelists, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
And John, if I may, just
Yes.
like to thank yourself, Gordon and Natram, for joining us on this and for doing this event with us. And we're really, really proud and looking forward to what the Zixi integration brings to TAG. And I just wanted to remind people, if anyone's interested in playing with a TAG system, we can have you up and running in a matter of hours with a web instance, a cloud instance of TAG. So please, by all means, give us a ping and we'd be happy to help you out. Thanks everybody for attending, and thanks to my co-hosts and our organizers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.